Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, and specifically the Arsenal transfer show. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Let's join the chat box, see what you guys are saying. Good morning to Matt. Good morning to Ratha Varies, Julian. Good morning to you, Olu Thracian, Tygonosaurus, Paul, Stevie, John T, MFB, Dean. We've got Christopher. We've got Ginger Ninja Gooner. We've got Jonathan. Richard, we've got Matt G. Oh, I already said Matt G. We've got so many of you just throwing in comments left, right, and centre. Junior, Gabriel, Femi, Christopher. Good morning to everybody that joins us every single morning at 8 a.m. Hope you're doing good and enjoying your weekend. Still no football, which is frustrating, of course, but it is what it is. We will be playing on Thursday. It will feel like a bit of a relief when we finally do get to that Wolves game on Thursday, and fingers crossed we can pull out a result, because waiting all this time for a game to then go and lose it would be quite frustrating indeed. Anyway, please, if you haven't done so already, do smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Apologies, I feel like I'm a bit dressed for church this morning, but I'm going wedding suit shopping today, which is going to be interesting. Means I have to wear a shirt, and I mean, if I do this top button up, I feel like it's far too formal for a YouTube show. So the top button's coming undone. Let's get on with the news, though, today. And we start, as always, talking about the Arsenal way. Do make sure you're subscribed if you haven't done so already. And also, we released our first six-a-side video yesterday. Myself and Bailey play on Sunday, so we got a game today. And we're going to be putting out our highlights of the games on the Arsenal Way channel. So something to watch, something to do, and it gives you a bit of entertainment for 15 minutes or so. So do go and check that one out, because it was a good video. 3-2 isn't the final scoreline. It does get to that scoreline, so it's worth it to go watch a couple of goals. Yeah, helps us keep that going, because if the more of you watch it, the more we guarantee that we keep putting the highlights out onto the Arsenal Way. So link to the video is in the description. Go watch that after you've watched this. And of course, please do go help and support Vinny's charity, Macmillan Cancer Support. Link in the description as always. And do help Vinny on his way to his 10k target. We start off by telling you what articles were out from myself yesterday. That's what we do during the news shows that were outside the transfer window. Did a piece about how Nicolas Pepe can prove to be an interesting kind of solution to the Takahiro Tomiyasu injury problem that could even open up a route for William Saliba into the side next season. Interesting take. I suggest you go read it if you want to find out more. Another piece on the 3 MLS players that Arsenal could look at in the summer. Arsenal, we know, have signed Matt Turner and Austin Trusty, and we're kind of opening up our routes into North America. So I had a look at 3 more players that Arsenal could look to bring in the near future. And finally, how Amari Hutchinson has given Mikel Arteta plenty to think about, and maybe a bit of regret regarding not bringing him on in the games during January. Our first story, however, is that the Arsenal women's got a absolutely valuable 1-1 draw despite going down to 10 men. McCabe getting sent off. Blackstenius got the late goal. If you haven't seen the pass from Miedemar, you need to go and watch it. It is one of the best passes, I'm not kidding, that I have seen from deep through as an assist. It's a brilliant, weighted, timed, curved, perfect pass that's finished off really well, and it means that Arsenal remain top of the table. They've got 2 games in hand, or rather Chelsea got 2 games in hand over Arsenal. They're 5 points at the top, clear. If Chelsea win their 2 games, they'll obviously go top, but it was a much needed win with Man United in 3rd, who could have closed the gap on Arsenal had they got a result. So well done to the ladies, fantastic result. But Miedemar, what a pass. What an absolutely brilliant ball. The other main story is IFAB, who are the effective people who make all the rules of the game. Referees across the country, across Europe, across the world. And there is going to be a change to the substitution. Did I say 10 men? I'm sorry. It's just force of habit. 10 women. Yes, they were forced down to 10 women, I should say. The substitution in yesterday, or rather the substitution rule, is going to be changed. IFAB have said that basically what will happen across all socials on all games is that all leagues can make the decision permanently to switch to 5 substitutions. And at the moment, the Premier League have been very resistant to this idea. They don't want to. They don't want to go down to 5, or rather up to 5. They've been really reluctant to do that. They wanted to stick it to 3. Most of the Premier League teams, have, especially down the lower end of the table, have been against this because it's a rule that pretty much favours the big teams with the greater depth. I wrote about this yesterday because actually, ironically, even though Arsenal are one of the top 4 contenders this season, 5 substitution rule could actually hamper Arsenal because their squad depth is just not strong enough at the moment. But it will be made a permanent thing that leagues can choose to change to 5 substitutions. It doesn't mean the Premier League will change, but that from next season, IFAB have allowed all teams permanently to make the decision to change to 5 subs. So for clarity, it doesn't mean that the Premier League will now go to 5 subs. It just means that IFAB have permanently handed over the decision to leagues to change to 5 substitutions, as you see across the continent, but not in the Premier League at the moment, even though a lot of teams and managers feel that that is the way that it should change. So we should see, fingers crossed, I'd like to see it. I think 5 subs is a great idea, personally. So I think 5 substitutions, very, very interesting, is going to be happening maybe next season in the Premier League, but it's a definite fixture across Europe and will continue to be so, especially in European competitions and cup competitions. So it's a bit weird, isn't it, that we have it in like the FA Cup or the League Cup and you can't do it in the league. That maybe will change. Mikel Arteta, though, was speaking back in 2020 about this. He said, I think the most important thing at the moment is the welfare of the players, and the best way to protect them and have options to protect them is to have the option to extend the substitutes. So it's like, yes, we'll give you a little bit of this so that you can have an extra 2 on the bench, but not the option to change. We are the only ones doing that, and for me, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but obviously it's not up to us. So Arteta, like Pep Guardiola, very much in favour of changing up to 5 substitutions as soon as possible. Now, penultimate story of the day is that both Chelsea and Manchester United are looking to hijack Arsenal's move for Alexander Isak. Reports coming out that supposedly both teams have an interest in the Swedish striker, and because Arsenal missed the opportunity to activate its release clause in January, both of those sides will come in for the 22-year-old in the summer, putting Arsenal under plenty more pressure to try and secure the striker's services. Now, Isak is not Arsenal's only striker target. Jonathan David, Dominic Calvert-Lewin have both been suggested to be 2 of the main targets. Calvert-Lewin, though, is said to be up there with Isak as kind of their primary target above Jonathan David, although I'm a bit annoyed about that because I'd quite like us to go for Jonathan David. But Calvert-Lewin and Isak look the highest on Arsenal's list, but Man United and Chelsea both looking specifically to try and hijack that deal. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. I wouldn't like to see Isak playing for either of those 2 teams and rubbing it in our face that we didn't get that deal done sooner. And our final story of the day is that Gabriel Martinelli is being given an incentive to sign his contract, and that is to be given the new number 14. Now, according to the Mirror, who suggested this could be the case, Martinelli could take on the number 14 vacated by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and it could be something that the club use as an incentive to try and convince him to sign that new contract. So this will be certainly an interesting one to follow. Martinelli is currently number 35. No one's in the number 14 right now, but it would kind of make a bit of sense if you think about it. You've got a situation where the 14 has always been kind of with a player that's on the left wing and moves to kind of the central position. And that's very much what Martinelli does. Left winger, left forwards that can play centrally. And the number 14 certainly does look at this as a situation where he will eventually maybe transition to a central striker. I don't want to see that happen anytime soon. I think he still needs to develop a lot more, especially on the physical side of his game. But the number 14 could be given to Gabriel Martinelli. Anyway, let's go into the chat box and see what questions you guys have got for us. If you've got any questions, throw them into the chat box and we'll go through as many of them as we can in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Here we go. Okay, let's jump into the chat. Shreyas says, hi Tom, what are your thoughts on Lautaro and Dybala? Oh, I think that Dybala will end up at Inter Milan, and I think that Lautaro will remain with Inter Milan because has just signed a new contract. He signed it last year, so it's not exactly like he's going to be going off anywhere. He's got a new long-term contract with Inter Milan, so I doubt that he's going to be going anywhere at the moment. Matt G says, Tom, what are your thoughts? What are our two most important players for the remainder of the season? Has to be Thomas Partey, because if you lose Thomas Partey, you're down to Xhaka and Lokonga. So Thomas Partey absolutely is one. And arguably Tomiyasu is the other one. I really think that Partey and Tomiyasu are probably our two most important players. Although saying that, Alexandre Lacazette, if you lose him, you're down to Nketiah or Martinelli. So I suppose I'd probably lean towards Lacazette and Partey actually saying that. So, but Tomiyasu is definitely up there. Olu says, hey Tom, how important is signing league-based players in our rebuild? Van Dijk, Mane, Gini and Robertson all joined Liverpool during their rebuild. Very important. It's not something that we've done, to be honest, a lot at the club. We've only started to do it recently, is sign marquee players from our own league. We think of Ben White, we think of Aaron Ramsdale. We've only done it recently. So, it looks like it's been a system that's going to start to work for us. So we absolutely need to try and sign more players in the Premier League. That's why I'm a big fan of Yuri Tielemans. I think that we should be looking at players like that to try and bring into the team and strengthen that core. There's Jarrod Bowen I'm a big fan of. I wouldn't mind seeing us go for someone like him. So definitely think we should be looking at that. Viraj says, are you feeling a little less anxious about Wolves after their defeat to Norwich? I think that with Wolves, they're a team that plays very nice football, and I'm not going to look at one game and look at them and go, oh, they're going to be no threat now. I mean, if we have a look at the actual, let's have a look. I didn't even check it out, to be honest. They lost to Norwich in the fourth round. Kenny McLean with the goal. Roddy in goal, Coney, Kilman, Gomez, Aït-Nouri, Moutinho, Neves. Oh, they actually played like their first team. Okay. I mean, Raul Jimenez came off the bench. Well, I suppose maybe not, but you can't underestimate teams. I thought they would have played a stronger team than that, but no. Interesting. Okay, fair enough. And did Norwich play their first team? I mean, pretty much most of it, but they still didn't have Max Aarons on the. They didn't start Pookie, and they still went through. So you got to say fair play to Norwich there. But I think Wolves will be definitely focused on the league rather than the FA Cup. Matt Thornton says, do you think if we paid the release clause in instalments rather than one lump sum, we would have signed Isak? No, I don't think so. Because, I mean, Real Sociedad had no reason to sell. They could have just demanded the absolute 75 million in full, didn't have to make it kind of any permanent deal. And so, therefore, they could just say, we want all the money now or you're not having him. So no, I doubt that they would have accepted instalments for that move, although Arsenal do like to pay in instalments. Viray says, any news on the behind closed doors game? I think, was it yesterday that we were supposed to play Reading? I've seen nothing, heard nothing. I'll try and chase it up. I'm off work today, so maybe I'll find out tomorrow. But I've heard nothing about that at the moment. Harry Simiu is a good one to follow for that kind of thing. He knows his stuff and he has a couple of contacts that find out about that. So he's one to check with. Vuk says, you often said that we have a fifth place squad in the league. How did you make that estimation? I think that Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, City all have better squads than us. And I think that Tottenham, Leicester, West Ham have a worse team than us. That's how I made that estimation. So there you go. Chris says, Tom, do you think Hutchinson could be Pepe's replacement? Maybe. He's more of an attacking midfielder than a winger, though, but he's been playing quite wide for Kevin Betsy's side. But sure, I don't know why he couldn't play in that right-hand side position, but he's got to compete with Bukayo Saka to start. I would like to see Hutchinson given more opportunities from the bench. We've also got to convince him to sign a new contract, which runs down very, very soon. Francesco says, I don't think we are getting top four. What are your opinions? Let's wait and see. I think we'll get fifth. Fifth is my prediction. But let's wait and see. Things could change very, very quickly. Czech Perk says, are you as surprised as me that Bruno Guimaraes went to Newcastle for a reasonable price? Did we actually push for him at all? We didn't try to sign him in January. That's as far as I'm aware. We had no intention to try and compete with Newcastle for his signing. 40 million euros rising to 50 million euros was deemed, they felt, I think, too high of a price, especially when they were trying to sign a striker during this January window. So we never really went for him. Interested, And we like him, and we've liked him for a long time. But no, we never went in for him in January. Some bloke says, has Leno played his last game for Arsenal? Depends if Ramsdale gets injured. But other than that, we're not in any other competitions. So you have to think that, yes, he probably has. If Ramsdale stays fit for the whole season, then Leno probably has played his last game for the Arsenal. I imagine what could happen is, say, it's the last game of the season and we've got nothing to play for. Maybe he'll come in for that game. But other than that, I don't think he'll play. Gooner 0411 says, who do you think our captain will be for next season? And who do you want it to be? I would like it to be Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard is for me an absolute leader and an example in pretty much every single game. So I would choose Martin Odegaard as our captain, and he starts for me every single game as well. Aditya says, Wolves played maximum of their first team, but Jose Sarr is a cheat code. The man saves everything. I think you're thinking of FIFA, maybe. No, he is a very good keeper, but we got to hope that we can score past him on Thursday. Fala says, Tom, are you worried that Spurs might beat us to the top six given their recent performance and the resurgence of Son? Yeah, of course, it's a worry, it's a concern. Antonio Conte worries me more than anything, but we have to focus on ourselves. We can't be preoccupied worrying about other teams. Let's do what we do. Let's play our football. Let's get a momentum built up. We've got some very winnable games coming up in the next few weeks. Let's win them. Let's get in the race. Let's see what we can do. Chris says, if the £500 million debt is true, would we be better suited to qualify for the Europa League rather than the Champions League, as the cost of Champions League quality players could outprice us for that range? No, Chris, because you get more money for playing in the Champions League. A lot more money that would help us deal with that debt. So no, it would not help us. Champions League absolutely has to be the priority, and there is no more benefits for playing in the Europa League than there is compared to the Champions League. Savvy says, what's the plan for Reece Nelson if you were manager, Tom? I think Reece will return in the summer and I think he will be sold. I don't think there is a future for him at Arsenal. That's just how I feel about Reece Nelson right now. Let's scroll down. I'm probably missing a load of questions. Billy says, would you entertain the idea of Pepe out front if it is the last option? I would probably play Martinelli before Pepe. I'd definitely play Lacazette before Pepe. And Nketiah is a bit of a different one, but I think that he's probably third choice for me behind Martinelli and Lacazette over Nketiah at this stage. Alazar says, not activating Isak's release clause will be a mistake. Buying Calvert-Lewin is good, but he can't win us the Premier League or the Champions League. Isak has the talent to be part of the league-winning team. Edu Sloth, Gaspar Tax. I disagree. I don't think we had to pay twice Isak's market value to get him in, nearly twice. He's a £40 million player in my mind. £75 million is not what he's worth. I would not have overpaid. I would not have made the same mistakes of Arsenal have made in the past. I'm more than happy that we didn't do that. I would sign Calvert-Lewin for 50 to 60 million. I think he's worth more than Isak right now. Sure, he's a bit older, sure. His form isn't amazing, neither is Isak's, by the way, but he is Premier League experience, he is homegrown, and I think that he would flourish in a more creative side like Arsenal. Did he play in Everton's win yesterday? Everton fixtures, let's have a quick look. Did he play? He didn't play, he was injured from the looks of things, or he just wasn't in the squads, but he's not there for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but we'll see. Billy Boy says, Tom, how would you reintegrate ESR back into the team? We need his goal threat. I think that Smith Rowe will be brought back into the team probably as a rotation with Martinelli in some games. Maybe we bring him back in if we go to that 4-3-3 and use Thomas Partey as kind of the single pivot. But at the moment, I very much doubt that he starts over Martinelli or Odegaard. But we do need his goals, so we'll wait and see. Shreyas says, why not get Schick? He is a cheaper option than the rest and better. I would absolutely go for Schick. I like him. He's grown on me. I think he's proving himself week in, week out. 18 goals, 17 games. Speaks for itself. Viraj says, any striker that you recommend out of the box? Any outside of the box strikers? Do we need an outside of the box striker? I wanted Artur Cabral before he moved to Fiorentina. I think outside the box strikers we're looking at for backups, to be honest, we need someone that's established. We need one of the big guns. We need that marquee statement striker signing. I would look to Adeyemi at Red Bull Salzburg. I would look to Darwin Nunez maybe, if you want to call him a bit outside the box. Amin Guerri is a good one, but he's more of a second striker than an out-and-out number 9, Billy. That's the problem with him. So, yeah, it's tricky trying to find that clear number 9 that you want to use. Sarvik says, with the young strikers in the academy, do we go for a 27 to 29? No, we still go for that early to mid-20s striker. Has to be an early to mid-20s striker. Alani says, where do you think this Arsenal team would finish under Arsene Wenger? 4th, maybe? He was very good at getting teams to 4th, and I think this is a better team than what he finished his Arsenal tenure with, so maybe 4th. Who knows? It's an impossible question. Deep 11 says, what are your thoughts on Cody Gakpo from PSV? Just signed a new deal. So I don't think he's going to be going anywhere, not at least for a lot of money. But he's a good player, tall, powerful, good runner, good dribbler, good technical ability, good movement and space, like spatial awareness. His timing of his runs is good. So yeah, I like him. He's got potential to play in the middle as well. He's played in the middle a number of times at PSV. So possibly he's one that we could go for. I think, unless there's a couple of really good questions. Thanks, West Mids. Really appreciate that. Nice comment. Yamama says, hi, Tom. Do you think we're seeing the death of the out-and-out striker with the rise of the inside forward? Should Arsenal be wary of this before spending money on a large potential? No, I don't think so. Haaland, Isak, Calvert-Lewin, Schick. Like, there are lots of singular forwards, but there are lots of strikers that like Guiri and Jonathan David that are more wide forwards and inside forwards. But no, I don't think we're seeing the death of the out-and-out striker. I still think there's plenty of out-and-out strikers out there. Vlahovic, there's loads out there still. So no, I don't think we're seeing it. I just think we're seeing more variation in the number of strikers that we see at the moment out in the world of football. Chris says, Tom, do you think Mavropanos will go to Stuttgart? Yes. Even if they go down, they still have an option to buy. So they still will buy him, and they will just sell him on somewhere else for more money. I enjoyed seeing Weghorst yesterday. I feel we made a little bit of an error there, says Ginger Ninja Gooner. Yeah, I think he could have done a job for us, to be honest. Yusuf Nesri was really keen on him. And he had this injury, and Rafa Mir came in as well. He's only got the 3 goals. He's not playing at all because of injury, to be honest. Just having a look at his stats for this season. Yeah, he's been out. I know he was at the African Cup of Nations, but he's been facing serious injury problems. So I'm not 100% sold on him as much as I was at the start of the season, because I think this season's been a bit of a big question mark over him. So there you go. We're going to wrap things up there, people. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. Is there going to be a show later? There might be. There might be a show. There might not be. But until we have a game, it's really difficult to put on more shows for you guys. So sorry about that. Do drop a like on the video, though. Do go watch our 5-a-side, 6-a-side game. Link is in the description to the Arsenal Way. You can go and watch that there if you want a little bit of entertainment on your Sunday morning. The more of you that watch it, the more that we can keep doing it. So please do go give it a watch. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, up the Arsenal.